Hello everyone, welcome to Manga Mondays, and today I'm going to talk about manga, which is the point of this whole series. So today I'm actually going to talk about the next 3 entries in the series I'm currently reading. No matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. So last week I reviewed volumes 1 through 13 to kind of get up to speed with where I was, and this week I'm going to be reviewing volumes 14, 15, and 16. Now, there was kind of a gap between when I finished 13 and when I started reading these because I had to wait for my library system to get one of the books in, but now that I have them, now that I was able to get it, I have been able to read them, and I really like them. So I'm going to go through the volumes one by one, talk about what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and tell you how I feel about them. So we're going to start with this one, volume 14 of No Matter How I Look at It, It's You Guys' Fault I'm Not Popular. So as I kind of discussed in the last video with volume 1 through 13, our main character, Tomoko, has gone into high school. She doesn't have a lot of friends, but over the course of the last 13 volumes, she's kind of developed friends, especially around the class trip which took place. And as you can see by the cover of this book, her friend group is kind of expanding. So these 3 books these 3 volumes that I have read this time all take place during her 3rd year of high school. And so the storyline has kind of shifted, and now we're focusing on her decisions for going to college. So what is she going to study, what college is she going to go to, and also her test results, which are very important. So there's a lot of studying. So volume 14 takes place during a week-long school holiday, and in this one she's going to start visiting some colleges. And she makes plans to go with 3 separate friends to go to 3 separate colleges. So she is going to the colleges, visiting them, figuring out what she wants to do with her future. And something that's very notable about this volume compared to the rest of the volumes is she's doing this with friends. A lot of the previous volumes, when she has had time off of school, she spent it all by herself, doing whatever she wants, annoying her brother, playing games, wandering around, really nothing of note. So the fact that this year she is doing something with friends and they show her calendar and it's actually getting kind of booked. And for the first time, it also appears that Tomoko is starting to realize, hey, wait, I have friends to do stuff with. Hey, this is kind of different. I'm not as lonely as I used to be. And I believe it is at the end of this one. Oh yes, our favorite friend. Well, not friend, it's her little cousin. So she has a little cousin who comes to visit her typically in the summer, who has kind of caught on in the last couple years that maybe Tomoko isn't as cool in high school as she tries to pretend like she is. But this time, when her little cousin shows up, she notices, first of all, her calendar on the wall seems to be booked with events, and second, there's a lot of photos of her with friends. So she's starting to wonder what's going on and thinking, hey, maybe something's changed with my older cousin. So that's an interesting aspect. She shows up at the end of this volume. This was really good. I did like it. I gave it a 4-star. It was very interesting, and I really like that we kind of have some new elements with the friend group coming into play. So she has a friend group now that she's doing stuff with, and we're kind of, I don't say we're moving away from high school because she's still in high school, but she's now having to make big decisions about her future, which is really interesting for me to watch. So I really enjoyed volume 14, gave it a 4-star. Next, I read volume 15. No matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. I also gave this one a 4-star, but this would probably be the lowest 4-star out of the ones that I read. Just because for me some of the stories were confusing. I read them and I thought, what exactly was the point? But I think a lot of the stories in this kind of flesh out either the backstory of some of her friends or introduce more aspects, because she has developed quite the friend group, and some of these people we don't have a lot of interactions with. So this book kind of falls into this part of the series where they're fleshing out their friends' characteristics, her friends' backstories, maybe some stuff that happened to her friends in middle school. We're also starting to get into fights with friends, so that's a whole new dynamic Tomoko has not had to deal with in high school, so that's very interesting. But also another thing that's happening a lot in this book is studying. If I remember correctly, this is studying. Ah yes, studying parties. They have to study because college. Again, that starts to become more and more a theme involved. Moving from volumes 1 through 13, now moving to 14, 15, 16, I've really started to see the increased focus on college, which is normal typically as you finish your high school days, you have to start thinking about what you're going to do next. Are you going to go into a job? Are you going to go into a university? What are you going to go into some sort of apprenticing training program? There's a lot of options for almost anyone who completes a high school diploma or the equivalent in every country. What do you do next? What are you going to do when you become an adult? It's a very important question, so it's good to see that it's taking a long time. And also it's good to see that some people know what they want to do, they're pretty set. Other people are just have no idea, which is a very fair and realistic representation of life. But this volume does have a lot of studying in it. People are studying, people are trying to get the grades they need. And at the end of this book, it kind of sets up for volume 16, which is the sports festival. So they had the sports festival in year 1, and then it was the culture festival, I believe, and then now it's the sports festival. So they alternate every year, so I guess it kind of depends what year you come in on. And they are going to be the girls' sports. The girls in the classes have to partake in is either softball or ping pong. So I believe our main character gets roped into ping pong, and she's kind of helping a younger student learn ping pong. I'm not sure how much she actually knows about ping pong. That's kind of open to debate. And another key feature in this, which is kind of cliche, I should also add I did not wear a uniform in high school, but a lot of the girls roll up their skirts so it's shorter. Tomoko has not been doing that for the last, well, this is volume 15, so the last 14 volumes, and her friends convince her to do it in this volume, and that's been one of the ways that she kind of stands out at school. And I don't know, for me it felt very like cliche, like who really cares, but it was notable that happened in this book, and you can really see her start to acquire a lot more confidence with talking with people just in watching her interactions as we move forward. She's really starting to gain some confidence in interacting with other people. That has nothing to do with how long or short she wears her skirt, I should say. That was just an interesting thing that happened in this. And like I said before, this book set up the culture, or not the culture festival, the sports festival, which 16, I'm going to check something. Yes, because 16 kind of has two big things in it. So here's volume 16, no matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. Sports festival. They are in sports festival. They are playing ping pong, and well, they're in terms of how much sport they're actually doing versus how much just hanging out they're doing, it's maybe 10% playing a sport, 90% just hanging around. But if as you look back at the other volumes, when she's had the other culture festival, the other sports festivals, she's just spent a lot of time by herself doing a whole lot of nothing. So the fact that this sports festival, she's spending time with friends, she's interacting with people, she kind of demonstrates catching bugs, which is something that she's done in previous sports events when she's been forced to be outside. So this is very, very fun. I had fun. I liked watching her show her friends how to catch the bugs outside, and yeah, so that kind of wraps up. The class she's in actually gets 3rd place in the sports festival, so they didn't do too bad, and you're able to see a lot of her friends, excuse me, wow, in action, and that's interesting. Again, another big theme of this book is college. What are you doing in college? And Tomoko, main character in this book, is really starting to feel the effects of having friends, as in all of a sudden she doesn't really want to do stuff by herself. And one day she's hanging out, she runs into a girl she knows from school, they talk a little bit, and then one of those girls decides to give her a ride home on a motorbike, which is against school rules. I don't really know why, but apparently it's against school rules to ride on a motorbike. Or maybe it's the fact they were riding double, like 2 people on a motorbike, that was illegal. Anyways, they're at school the next day or a few days later, and I assume it's the next day, and the girl who gave her ride home, whose name I believe was Yoshida, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, is like, haha, I can only get in trouble if I get caught, and besides, who saw me? And all of a sudden, her name plus Tomoko's gets paged over the school system. You guys have to come down to the counseling office, and they are suspended for a week. So they get to spend a week doing this sort of independent, isolated study, and their friends are not allowed to talk to them, and they get busted for their crime of riding a motorbike around in their school uniforms. So anyways, that is very interesting. That was a big, big turn. I was like, whoa, she got suspended, and at first the teacher's like, okay, this, you got suspended, this is what you have to do, X, Y, and Z, no big deal. And Tomoko's like, oh, I expect a lot more. Yeah, like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna do this for a while. And she goes home and her mom is furious. So I imagine, I haven't got volume 17 from the library yet, but I'm hoping to get a hold of it this week. And I imagine a lot of that's gonna be her going through a lot of the suspension period. They go through a couple days in this book, but if I remember correctly, she still has some time to go. So it's gonna be very interesting to see her go through the rest of that. That was a big development. And yeah, that's kind of where this book left off. So those were the 3 volumes I read this week. I really, really enjoyed them. I had a fun time. It probably just took me a little chunk of an afternoon to read all 3 of these. I'm really loving these series. I'm going to get volume 17, and I will see what happens with Tomoko, her college decisions, her suspension, her relationship with her friends, and her social skills. If anyone else has read these, or if anyone else has another series to recommend me, please let me know. I'm always open to suggestions, and have a great day.